everybody, I'm Merisu the Art Sheep, and thank you so much for checking out today's video. And today I'm drawing fan art of one of my favorite animes of all time, GOSICK. Yay! So I'm drawing the main two characters of GOSICK, Victorique de Blois and Kujo. I pronounced both of those wrong. Let me try again. Victorique de Blois and Kazuya Kujo. Well, one of them was better. Anyway, I've been working on this for quite a while. Well, not working on it for quite a while, but I've been wanting to draw GOSICK fan art for quite a while. I knew I probably wouldn't get around to it till autumn, though, because I was finishing up Revolution in full color. I really wanted to do that. That took top priority. And then I went on vacation, so because of that, it didn't go until November. I wanted to do it in October because that month was my birthday, and I thought it'd be really fun to draw this for my birthday, but because I came home from vacation pretty close to my birthday, I just didn't have time to accomplish what I actually wanted to do, and I didn't want to rush it or do something just simple, so I decided to wait till November, and here we are. And I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of this piece. It turned out pretty big. Right now, I'm actually just sketching Victorique's first dress that she wears in the series. It's kind of her main one for the first half. However, I then decided to draw her in the bonnet outfit that she wears. I call it the travel outfit, and I asked my people on Twitter which one they liked more. They said this one, so I ended up going for this one, and I am glad I went for this one because, one, it matches Kujo's travel outfit, which I really do love. I've never drawn him in a school uniform, actually, because I like the travel outfit more. School uniform isn't bad, but I like the travel uniform more. And I'm glad I picked it because I realized that I've already drawn her in her purple dress the very first time I drew Victorique, and I drew her in her black dress the second time. And one thing I can definitely say, since the second time I've drawn Victorique, this is the third, I've improved a lot, and I'm very, very happy with it. I drew the library in that illustration as well, and it just looks really bad. I was taking a lot of shortcuts, and I'm not gonna say that this looks perfect. Like, there are always ways that I can improve upon my skills. Like, skill-wise, I could always improve my line art, my coloring, my shading, my composition, and all that stuff. I don't really know much about art. I just do what I think looks the most appealing. And I really need to take more YouTube courses or some kind of thing on it to really master it and get better at it. But for someone who just does whatever she does, and considering the fact that I've got like no skills in certain areas, I don't think I did that bad. Like I said, always could stand for improvement, but I am pretty happy with it, and it really does showcase my improvement. I'm going to show both of the drawings that I was referring to on the side, so that way you can see, because obviously if you don't see the improvement, then you're not gonna see it. You won't know what I'm talking about. You'll just see the flaws in this one. But like I said, I am relatively happy. I think I did a lot better at the library. The perspective is still a little bit off. Couldn't get it quite perfect, but it is way better, and the fact that this was already something really hard, I'm glad that I at least attempted to. I actually tried to do it, and I finished it, and I actually presented something. Is it perfect? No, but it's actually at least I presented something. I tried, which is more than I can say in the last drawing. I didn't try for that one. And the library was pretty hard, but once I got everything a little bit lined up, I think it got pretty easy. The most easiest part of this drawing was drawing Kazuya and Victorique. They're very simple, they're very easy for me to draw, and I love their designs. And probably the most hardest part about Victorique is her hair. I love her long hair, but I love long hair just in general, but it is a little bit harder sometimes because you're like, okay, where do I put all of this? What do I do with it? So I had to figure that out. I don't think I could ever draw a full-size picture of Rapunzel because of that fact. And the one thing I would say that I wish I probably did a little bit better is I don't think I did the best at the beginning of the stairs. I think they could have been a little bit worked, but considering that they're in the distance and stuff, I think I can live with it. I mean, you don't really see them. They're not that much in the foreground, and Victorique and Kujo or in front of them. So any flaws I did with them, it's like, you can't see them. You can't see them at all. Okay, so if you're wondering why I'm going a little bit more still and a little bit all over the place with the line art here, that is because I did the line art for both Kujo and Victorique in live streams. So if you want to see me do this stuff real time, you can watch the archives of those streams. They're still on there. Just go under live at my YouTube channel and you can watch them, or I'll link them. And so because of that, there is some moments where I just kind of like, it's all over the place. I tried to cut out as much as I could, but I got a little bit lazy because I was a little bit restrained for time, because Thanksgiving is like literally just a couple of days away, and I need to do Thanksgiving, so don't have time to really focus on that. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving! Also, because of that, I'm probably not going to be recording my audio for the entire portion of this video. It's pretty long. It's not the longest audio I've done. It's not the longest YouTube video I've done, but at the same time, the longest YouTube video I did, I'm pretty sure, is my aerial speed paint that I made back in 2021. However, that one's only long because I made a mistake with recording. I made a mistake. No, it was my Zero drawing, actually, I think it was that one. It was one of those two. And I know it was a mermaid. I made a mistake when editing it. I forgot to speed up one of the parts of the speed paint so it's in real time. So because of that, the speed paint's like about over an hour, and normally it wouldn't be that long. I remember asking on someone was asking on their Instagram, how long do you think one of these drawings take? And it was a traditional like drawing of like a girl in kind of an anime-esque style, and I said, replied saying, well, I know how long it takes for me. It's usually typically anywhere between 13 hours and 32 hours, so I don't know. However long it takes. And yep, they replied saying best answer all the time. And I'm like, yeah, because for me, I would probably say a speed paint, especially one like this. I don't know how long this one took. I haven't figured it out yet. The way I figure out how long my drawings take is I just add up whatever I was watching while I was drawing and then figure it out that way. But if I have a speed paint, then I'll just add the video clips together. But sometimes I forget to do that. So because of that, I forget to put the time. I try to put the time, though, always in the description, though, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. But at the same time, I mean, like, I think drawings can be done as quick or as slow as you want. Unless you're, like, on a deadline, then you need to probably go a little bit faster. Yeah, I forgot to cut this part out. Sorry! But anyway, one thing I would definitely say is if you're working on a big piece, one hint I could definitely give to you is, okay, I had this ribbon here. This ribbon I'm going to remove later on because I realized that that wasn't on there. I didn't have a good reference sheet because the reference sheet for her outfit, well, her reference sheet just in general isn't good at all. It's like just two outfits and just one perspective, so it isn't very good. So, yeah, not the best. But friend Riot Kitty gave me some images, and then also I went back and watched GOSICK, and I got some more proper images, so I ended up fixing the mistakes that I made with the outfit. But anyway, what I was going to say was, one thing that you definitely need to do if you're doing a very big piece is you need to take a break. If you're not in a rush, take a break. It helps. Like, I always need to be drawing. Like, I was like, I'm putting myself like on a little mini vacation right now while I'm on Thanksgiving week, and then I'm gonna go back to drawing Christmas gifts. But as of right now, I'm like, I'm so bored. I need something to draw. I always need something to draw. But at the same time, I can't draw one picture for very long because I'll eventually go dead. Now, very long, let me rephrase that. I can't draw very long for my length of drawing. Like, I draw for hours on end. Like, hours on end. I can spend the entire day drawing. So, my view of, oh, I didn't spend very much time on this drawing might be different from someone else's. Like, one time I said I, like, spent, like, half a day on a drawing, and I'm like, oh, I didn't spend that much time on the drawing, and one person was like, that's a lot of time. I meant to cut that out. Ignore that. Just me playing fun in the live stream. But anyway, so that is one thing, but even, like, if I feel like now, if there's ever a moment where I'm just like, okay, I can't think of it. Even if you are on a deadline, you still need to step away from it a little bit, because you are just going to, the time you are going to waste when trying to rush and figure out and struggle on what to do next in your drawing, could have just spent, if you just take a little break. It's like cooking meat. Don't throw all your meat on a pan at once. It's just gonna make the pan cold, and it's gonna take longer to cook, and it would just be faster if you just cook the meat a little bit at a time. So just one piece, like 3 pieces at a time. That's the way you need to take drawing. So just a little bit here, a little bit there, and so forth. And that's what I did with this drawing. In fact, I drew it actually, once I got towards the end, I actually was drawing it in between the Hunger Games drawing that I just came out with. Did a little bit of the Hunger Games drawing, took a break, took a little bit of the GOSICK drawing, took a break, then worked on a little bit of some original art that I was making of these characters based off the sun and moon. Post that on my Twitter, DeviantArt, and Instagram if you want to take a look at that. And then I took a break, and then so forth and so forth. And that really helps. So that's definitely one advice I can give. One note I would add is I actually was using a textured pen at the beginning. If you want to know any of my pens or any tools that I use, just ask in the comment section and below, and I will tell you. I'm not going to link all that stuff down in the description though, because that would take forever. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, my train of thought went blank. Oh yeah, I was originally using a textured brush, and I kind of forgot about that later on, so I just ended up using the G pen later on. But for the most of the line art, I use a light textured brush. That is one thing that I probably do sort of regret about the drawing, is I was going to draw this in a different style than I usually do. I was going to actually kind of make it very flat, but yet was detailed line art. It was kind of based off of a style that was, I think, invented in the turn of the century in France, which makes sense. GOSICK takes place in a French-speaking country called Sibir. It's in between Italy and France along the Swiss Alps, and the opening is kind of in that style too. And I was going to do this in that style, but in the end I just decided to go for a classic shading style, because I started thinking about Victorique's hair, and I really wanted to fine-tune. I really wanted to test my ability to shade since the last time I drew her, because each time I draw a character, you can see, like, a different time, you can see the improvement. So I really want to try to put it to test, so I didn't really want to do anything new. And I gotta say, I definitely did improve. One thing that helped is I looked at a lot of the professional artist drawings, like Rosary, Nardak, and Mori. I looked at their art, and that definitely helped with the shading. I was just staring at it the entire time, and it really did help me figure out, okay, how do I shade this, how do I shade that? And then of course, obviously, you always look at real things too when you're coloring. I didn't think it helped, actually. I was always like, why would I look at real things? I'm drawing anime and manga. They always say look at real things, but I don't think it's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. It is totally true, folks. And it does help, because in the end, anime and manga is just an exaggeration of reality. And it really does help you figure out how things work in a realistic way, because if you just constantly use like anime and manga as your reference, you're just going to get you'll just eventually get more divorced from reality, and then there won't be anything tying your work to any points of realism, and it will look less believable. To be honest, I feel like that's what a lot of Tumblr artists suffer from. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just me. One thing I would say before I spaz out about the anime is also that I would add to this drawing is, I think I didn't do Kazuya's pants very good. could have done better on them. You'll notice even more when I get to the coloring. But anyway, let's talk about the anime a little bit. GOSICK is one of my favorite animes of all time. I started watching it I think in 2017. It actually was originally a light novel that came out in 2003, ended in 2011. It was written by, let me check my notes. My notes are all gone. I erased them. Okay, let me check my notes. Kazuki, Sakuraba, and Hinata Takada. It was illustrated by Hinata Takada, who has sadly passed away, so a moment of silence for her. But, it was written by, Sakuraba, and, finished in 2011. The anime came out in early 2011, I think ended in mid-2011. I don't think it got dubbed though until later. I know that happens sometimes with lesser known animes, is they won't get dubbed until later. I know that happened with Magical Girl Raising Project. Sometimes that happens. I don't know what motivates them to start dubbing them. I guess maybe they get the rights or something, but I don't know. But I started watching it around then. I quickly fell in love with it. I actually found it through a list of top mysteries. I was looking up animes to watch, and the mystery genre is one that always catches my eyes, so I was looking up a list of top mysteries. I don't remember any ever on the list outside of Danganronpa, which I also checked out at that time, and yeah, I fell in love with GOSICK. I love the style, I love the characters, I love the designs, I love the aesthetic, I love the themes, I love everything about it. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could, like, find flaws in it. Like, one flaw that I do think that is in it that I wish that would be addressed a little bit more is that sometimes concepts are brought up relatively fast and then they're just kind of rushed through, or if they are given any explanation, they just kind of rely on the fact that the village people are superstitious, which they are. I mean, it's an Eastern European country, so it's kind of, superstition kind of goes hand in hand, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like this could have been expanded on a little bit better and stuff. And then it takes an alternative history route in the end, because World War II gets resolved way faster than it did in real life. But whatever, I understand. They wanted a nice conclusion for a happy ending, but at the same time, I do think it kind of, like, with, you know, if they're building up World War II to be just as terrifying as World War I, it kind of loses that terrible foreboding nature if it ended so fast. But at the same time, I mean, you can have very horrific things happen in just a short time, so I don't know. That was just like one thing that I kind of got my goat. But rather than that, I have absolutely a blast watching GOSICK. It's one of those animes that I think, like, oh, do I really like this? But then when I actually go back and rewatch it, I'm like, yes, yes I do. Another anime that's the same way is Tales of the Abyss. Tales of the Abyss is is my most favorite anime. Like, it's really up there, like GOSICK, Romeo x Juliet, and Tales of the Abyss. I think I originally put GOSICK at number 2, tied with Our Love is 10 Centimeters Apart, and Romeo x Juliet and Tales of the Abyss had number 1. But I don't know, all 4 of those animes, I really do love them all. And sometimes I'm like, do I really like this? There's a lot of other things that I like more. Like, I love action shows and stuff like Attack on Titans and Fullmetal Alchemist and Yu-Gi-Oh! Excel and all that stuff. So it's like, do I really love this the most? Am I actually in the state where I want to say that this is my most favorite anime of all time? And then when I watch them, I'm like, yep, all 3 of those. 4 of those. Probably if I would say out of all of them, Our Love is 10 Centimeters Apart. That one's probably my least favorite out of all of them. But I still love it. But, I mean, I think it could have gotten better animation. The animation's so muted in color, and I hate it. It's not that way in the music videos. Why'd you do that in the anime? Why'd you make it all grayish and muted? But whatever. GOSICK, however, has very beautiful colors. Could be a little bit more vibrant in some moments, but for the most part, it's very, 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 very The studio that actually handled GOSICK was Studio Bones, and that was actually the same one that did Fullmetal Alchemist. My brother actually thinks that Fullmetal Alchemist doesn't have, like, he doesn't like the style that much of Fullmetal Alchemist, but I actually do like it. I like the painted backgrounds. Like, that isn't like lazy art, because like you actually have to do that, so it's not like them being lazy with the animation. That actually takes a lot of work to do, and I appreciate it. But anyway, we're not talking about Fullmetal Alchemist. We're talking about GOSICK, and like I said, I love a lot of it. One of the biggest running theme, two of the biggest things in it that I like a lot actually are I like factions. So in the case of GOSICK, I guess I should probably give a little bit of overview of the plot first for those who don't know. For those who don't know, GOSICK is about a young boy from Japan named Kazuya Kujo who moves to the Kingdom of Sabir as a transfer student to attend an elite high school. There, he meets a girl in the school's beautiful library named Victorique de Blois. She's a very mysterious girl, and at first he's not even sure if she's real. She might just be some urban legend or some supernatural aberration, but he finds out that she's very real, and considering the fact that he is a transfer student from Japan, he doesn't get very many friends, like, at all. Everyone calls him the Black Reaper because of his black hair and black eyes. He's supposed to have black hair and black eyes, but they look more brown in my opinion. I hate that. I hate it when hair is supposed to be black and then it looks brown. Make it black. It wouldn't even be so bad, but there are every characters who appear in this who do have black hair. Like the orphan girl who appears later on. She's got black hair, but no, you couldn't do that with Kujo. Whatever, moving on. So, Kujo finds Victorique, and he slowly starts to become friends with her. And she is a girl who's very petite and has a great intellect and a wellspring of wisdom that she uses to solve any case quite easily. So she uses Kujo to cure her boredom by getting into trouble, and then it ends up creating cases that she needs to solve. He doesn't always end up getting into trouble though. Sometimes they just stumble upon a case, and yeah, it's really fun. More of the mysteries are a little bit serialized to begin with. No, epistolic, that's the word. I always get those terms mixed up. It's more epistolic, sort of. They always kind of overlap a little bit. World War I just recently happened. The series takes place in 1924, so it's always a little bit in the looming presence. And then her father, who is the main antagonist of the series, Albert de Bleu, and so there is some overarching themes, but then for the most part you could like watch them as individual stories, but then later on they get more serialized. And quick side note, this is where I kind of messed up. Getting these books straightened up was the shelf was very, very, very hard. I used the book brush to make all those books, which thank heaven for book brushes, because I would have not been able to, like, I would have probably been able to do it, but it would have not looked as good. So I ended up using a book brush. Anyway, as they solve more and more mysteries, Victorique and Kujo then start to get worried because they realize that forces seem to be separating them apart, and they don't want to be separate. So they do everything in their power to stay together. And it's a very nice romance. Oh man, my throat's giving out. Anyway, it's a very nice romance. It's got fun side characters. It's got good mysteries. Another aspect that I like about the show is I like the trope where everything's being posed as magic and supernaturals, but then it's just parlor tricks and illusions. I like that. I know a lot of people don't because they want to see legitimate magic in a show. I personally like it being the way that it's parlor tricks because I like to see how they pulled it off. And you can do that a lot easier in a time period pieces like set in the early 1700s, like The Illusionist did. Wait, did they really take place in the early 1700s? I don't know. But it took place quite long ago, and GOSICK takes place in the 1920s, so you can pull that trope off a lot easier than you can do modern days. Anyway, a little side note also in the art. I replaced the columns, which I was originally going to do, for a frame. That frame is actually based off of the frame that's on my DVD artwork, which was also used on the DVD volumes, well, my Blu-ray artwork, which is then used also for the DVD volumes that they had, and I really do like that frame a lot, so I based that off of that, and I like that idea a lot more than the columns. Anyway, back to the plot. GOSICK. Another aspect that I like is you can see me watching it a little bit. The reason why you can see that is because I had this popped up so you can see the gradient maps of what I was doing. Usually I have OBS adjusted so you can't see anything like that, but I knew that if I had the gradient map settings out, then you wouldn't be able to see them, because that's something I'm learning how to use now. I don't know how to use them perfectly. I don't know how to color in gradient maps. Like, some people can color completely with gradient maps. I don't know how to do that, but I at least know how to turn them on. So there's some. Anyway, another aspect that I like is that there are warring factions. So in GOSICK, there is the Ministry of the Occult, which her father is head of, Albert de Blois. And then there is the Academy of Science. I mean, just the names of those sound so cool. And they're just basically trying to, like, you know, get past both of their nonsense as they struggle for political power and just make it past, because they know that World War II is coming, and they know that that might separate them again. Anyway, that's the plot of GOSICK. I definitely recommend it. If you... Like, the one thing I would say, though, is if you don't like tsunderes, you might not like Victorique at the beginning. She is a pretty heavy tsundere, so she is kind of kicking and abusing Kujo, but it isn't that bad, and it does get less and less as time goes by, and, like, there is a reason that she's doing it. She wasn't exactly given the best childhood. She doesn't have, like, the best social skills. Anyway, the one thing I love about GOSICK, like, really love, is the library, which is why I had to draw it. I mean, I would love to be in a library like that. You get this big chasm, and it's like a round building, and I love round buildings. They look so cool, and you just books everywhere, and then you get these staircases that all intersect over each other over the chasm, and it's just like, yay! And then at the very top, you get this beautiful conservatory with all these exotic plants. They look so pretty, and then you get these beautiful windows that have these lovely frames and these columns, and then it all leads up to the top where you get this beautiful mural painted on the ceiling that's kind of in this Renaissance painting style, like kind of like Leonardo da Vinci, and then you get this beautiful ceiling window light, skylights. That's the word I'm looking for. And it looks all so beautiful. Everything at the library, I could just eat it up, and I absolutely adore it, which is why I had to try to draw it again, because it just looks absolutely gorgeous, and I hope I captured it. To be honest, I feel like I actually put a little too much details on the window, because I was trying to get everything as close to the way it looks in the anime as I possibly could, and I did way better than I did last time when I drew this. But I think I actually did a little too good in some point. Not good as in, like, oh, this is so good, it's perfect, blah, 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 blah. No, more than, like, I think I paid attention to details where I really shouldn't have, because you can't see them when the drawing's zoomed out anyway. I used the flower brush for the flowers, because I'm like, this is a far distance. If you can't see the windows, you won't notice the flowers, so you won't be able to tell. Like, usually what I do is I draw the flowers myself, and then I try to shade them. Like, even if I don't draw them, like, myself, like the books, like, there are times, like, I've used the book brush before, but I then shade over them to give the proper shadows, but then I'm like, I'm going for a little bit more flat style, and plus it's in a far distance, so I don't want to stress over something that's far away, because that's the one thing you definitely don't want to do when you're drawing. And sometimes that's a little bit hard to think of when you're digitally drawing, because you can zoom in as much as you want on a canvas practically. So you're like, oh, I'm going to put a bunch of details in this, make it all look nice and really beautiful, but then you zoom out and you can't even see it. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're working on an illustration. And, because you don't want to waste time. Like, these plants, a lot of these side plants, I actually had to readjust them because you can't see them. Because one other aspect that I put that you'll see later on is I add these two kind of like creepy goblin hands, like kind of, you know, coming towards them. It's kind of to symbolize the oncoming danger was in the series, but yet they're still holding on to each other oh so tight. And yeah, it's just something, a little fun aspect that I thought I would add. And because of those hands, so you can't see a lot of these side plants, so I actually had to readjust them. And it didn't turn out the best. I also had to add roses later on. Don't add them now, but it will be later on, because I realized that there are roses on each one of those columns, and I totally forgot about that the first time, so that was very nice. I love gold flowers, which, side note, totally off topic, Yor from Spy X Family has the best design just because she's got everything that I like. Long black hair that's put in an updo that still has pieces that hang down, and then she's got golden flowers on her hair. Like, oh my goodness. I love Yor's design. I gotta draw her again. Spy X Family Season 2's out. I haven't watched it yet, though. I have not watched it, sadly. I'm watching Everthings. I'm watching Shaolin Showdown right now. And also, I'm watching Shaolin Showdown with my brother. I watch some things with my brother, and so Spy X Family will be the thing that I've watched with my brother, so I gotta wait until we're ready to watch that. But by myself, I'm watching GOSICK. Wanted to rewatch it to get inspiration for this drawing, but I also wanted to rewatch it because I wanted to just rewatch it. I haven't watched it since last year, practically. No, literally last year I hadn't watched it. I think I watched it for Christmas, and now I'm watching again. Makes a great anime to watch around the creepy autumn season, and then end at Christmas. I mean, there are some points where it takes place in summer, so that kind of throws you out, but there are some episodes, like the episode when they go to this convent, definitely captures the autumn vibe. And then, like I said, it ends at Christmas, pretty much. Well, it doesn't end at Christmas, that's a misquote, but there's points where it takes place heavily around Christmas time, so it makes a great Christmas anime. Okay, so 2 notes to make on the drawing. 1, Victorique's ribbon, like I said, I fixed up her outfit to look more like what it actually does, so I fixed those things. And the hair, don't get used to this coloring because I actually deleted it because I realized I colored it wrong. So I ended up wasting my time on this, to be honest, because it was just like, it looks shaded a little wrong, because you can shade things where you don't get things good and it looks very flat, and hair can end up looking metallic-y. And I tried to fix that with like several filters and stuff by making it look a little bit more flat in the ever way that I was trying to achieve, but it didn't work. So in the end, I decided to just scrap it and start all over again. But I didn't make that decision until a little bit later on. Colored the dress a little bit. Had a lot of fun coloring the dress. It's so big, and I love the frills. I love coloring frills. I love coloring ruffles. I love coloring dresses. I love coloring long hair too, but like I said, long hair is a little bit harder to draw because it's like, you gotta figure out what to do with it, like where to place it. And so it's not in the way. And if you don't figure that out, then it's gonna look weird. And it's also hard because you gotta for a long time. My mom actually drew on the first time was my tablet. She tried to draw something, and it turned out very bad. She wasn't used to it at all. It's just funny because it's like I'm so used to it, so I'm like, why can't you get it? But then I'm like, it was actually pretty hard for me to pick up too. But at the same time, I don't think it took me that long. But at the same time, I also had a motivation to, figure it out. And I did. Hooray! Hurrah! And, another thing that I actually found funny is I was joking with my mom saying I want a hamster. She won't let me get a hamster. Not a hamster. I keep saying hamster. I said hamster in the live stream. And then when someone else was trying hamster, I thought they were wrong. But then I realized they're only saying hamster because I said hamster. Guinea pig. Guinea pig. I want a guinea pig. Anyway, Mom won't let me have guinea pig. Because we have dogs. Anyway, I said I want to name the guinea pig Victorique. Well, actually, I originally said, Kazumi or Ren from Persona 5. But Mom said we can't have anything like that named in this house. She said it doesn't fit with the aesthetic. So I picked Victorique instead. Or Kujo, if it's a boy. And Mom was like, Victorique, is that a boy's name or a girl's name? I never heard of it. So I was just going on and explaining it. I think her name actually was supposed to be Victoria. And then, due to errors, it got changed to Victorique. Of some sort. I don't know. So anyway, like you said, this is me This is me recoloring the hair, and it looks a lot better. A lot better. And I think the same thing happened with Winry. In Full Metal Alchemist. I think she was supposed to be called Wendy, but then it got changed to Winry. I know I keep jumping around back and forth on my topics. Like, am I talking about the hair? Am I talking about names? Am I talking about coloring? Make up your mind, woman! My brain's spazzing out of control. I'm almost done. As you can see, we've almost reached the end. My throat is dry because I still record all of my audio at once. My brother laughs at me because it's like, why do you do that? I'm like, it's simpler? No, it's not. It's probably not. The time I waste on recording my audio all at once could probably be spent. It's probably the same aspect of drawing. Like, instead of taking this big challenge on all at once, why don't you just do it in portions like you do your meat when you're cooking it? And yeah, it'd probably be the same way when it comes to recording audio, but I don't do that. I don't do that because I'm lazy when it comes to editing. I'm not good at editing, so there. Maybe someday. I added a flower pattern to her bonnet. Yes, a flower pattern isn't on her bonnet at all, but I couldn't resist. I grew up watching Little House on the Prairie, folks. There are flower patterns on a lot of bonnets and that. I actually have a bonnet that has a flower pattern. Kind of a little similar. Only instead it's white, off-white, with like blue flowers. And it's not as big as this one. I love Victorique's clothing. It's so pretty. Every dress, like I said, I want to try to draw her in every single dress one of these days. And maybe I will. I've drawn Kazuya Kujo once, but I've only drawn him in his travel outfit. I like his school uniform, but I always just come to drawing in his travel outfit. And in the case of Kujo, I ended up, I think this is the first time I've actually drawn them together. Yeah, this is the first time I've drawn them together. I was really trying to debate because Kujo's skin is darker than Victorique's. It actually is more of a tan color, which is a little bit more unique because usually in the anime they're very pale. But in GOSICK, they do actually make his skin closer to what actually a Japanese person's skin looks like. Well, that's not true. I've seen some pretty pale Japanese people. I've seen some pretty dark-skinned Japanese people too. But on average, it is a little bit more tanner, and it's not that way in anime. But point being is Kujo's is. So I was trying to make his look a little bit darker than Victorique's, but at the same time, I didn't want it to lose its vibrancy. I didn't want these colors to be gray and muted. Like, even with his jacket, and like I said, his pants, I would have done them a little bit better. I wish I would have done them a little better. Still working on shading, trying to figure it out. Really need to study the greats and see how they accomplish it. And figure out how they do their shadings. But point being is that I wish I had done a little better on the pants, and I really wanted to keep everything a little bit vibrant but not too saturated, I guess is the word. I also added a little bit of texture to the jacket and the pants and the coat just to make it look a little bit more detailed. But not too detailed. I didn't want anything to be a distraction. Like, I didn't want to take away from one aspect. I didn't want to have too much where you were focusing on, like, hyper-focusing on this thing that you're not supposed to be focusing on. You gotta keep everything in balance. Because that's the way we achieve a nice, good universe. Or something. I don't know. Golden ratio, blah, 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 blah. And my brain is starting to spin out of control because I've been talking for so long. Like I said originally that I wasn't going to be talking this long, but I don't know. It's a chance to talk. It's an opportunity. Don't pass it up. I ended up actually making you'll see it in a moment. I actually ended up making a sock pattern from scratch, that famous diamond sock pattern, because I thought it would look nice. He doesn't have patterned socks, but I thought he needed them. Like, right now I'm trying to look for brushes, but then I'm like, I couldn't find anything, so I was like, well, can't find anything, make it yourself. And it took me a little bit longer than I expected, because I had to just make the diamond, which took quite a while to figure out. But in the end, I pulled it off. Yay! And it was pretty easy. I actually saved that diamond pattern so that way I can use it again. Because knowing me, I'm gonna need it again. And it worked out great. Like I said, it's a nice little detail to the socks. Had a lot of fun coloring the shoes. I actually like coloring shoes like this, that are brown and stuff, that are kind of glossy. It's something very fun. And we're coming up to the end of the speed paint. Mostly what I'm doing right now is just finishing up with the coloring of Kujo, and then I'm gonna add the rest of the stuff. Like, I originally planned on adding like macarons and ever random objects that are found in GOSICK, and it would just be all kind of floating around them and making a very artistic kind of background. And as you can see, there's me adjusting the plants. And making sure that they are in proper view, because I realized you couldn't see them. And there's me adding the roses. I just used a rose brush. I wasn't going to draw my own roses. And now I'm doing the hands. The big creepy hands. And I already had to adjust the plants once because of the frame being in the way, because I didn't account for that, and then I have to adjust them even more. Like, I was almost tempted to reposition the hands and make them in a different pose, but I couldn't pull it off. Nobody wears an outfit like what I'm drawing this hand wear. Like, no one wears a red coat with ruffles. I guess the closest would be Brian Roscoe, but he wears a black coat. He doesn't wear a red coat. Nobody, like, the thing I was looking for, the kind of aesthetic I was going for, I guess, would be Demon Circus Master, or something like that. I was very inspired by the song The Greatest Show on Earth by, oh man, who does that? Who does that? Let me check my notes. Checking, bok. And yeah, The Greatest Show, The Greatest Living Show, by Itoki Hana and Toby Fox. That has amazing art. It was actually animated by, I think, just one person, and it looks amazing. So for the aesthetic of these hands, I was very thinking that, and then also this one illustration by the amazing artist ISL. She did for Swan Princess, so that was another thing that I was thinking of that came to my mind when I was working on this. And like I said, I made them a little too big, and then I was trying to adjust them so they wouldn't be covering up everything, but then it was like, nope. I don't want to make them too small, and plus I couldn't figure it out. So in the end, I just decided to compromise. And just like, okay, some of the stuff's going to be covered up. Is that the best? No, but you should have done better. We should have tried harder. But we're just going to have to accept it, because I can't waste any more time on this. I think that's the one thing I did wish I added, is like some curtains and stuff, but I don't really know where to put that. I didn't want to make it too cluttered. And like with these flowers, like I was really debating figuring out what flowers to use. I would have actually drawn my own flowers, but it was like, I want this drawing to come out for Thanksgiving. Nope, no time. Plus, I really do like the flower brushes I have. I have a whole bunch. So, yeah. I added a blue and red, 2 blue roses and 2 red roses at top. The red rose is a reference to the Philosopher's Stone, which is in one episode, or at least they talk about the Philosopher's Stone in one episode. And the blue roses are a reference to, well, blue roses are pretty much everywhere throughout GOSICK. So, yeah, put 2 blue roses, and then some vines of blue roses. Put some lilies, which are in the opening. When you first see it, you see some daisies, and then some lilies, and then some blue roses. I actually skipped past that. Then I add some cards. It's actually would have been tarot cards, but I don't got a brush for that. So I use just plain cards, and then I add some macarons. I downloaded this cute macaron brush that I found and used that. And then I added Victorique's pipe floating around, because I couldn't forget about that. And I also add Victorique's mother's ring, but you can't really see it because it's so small. But there it is. You can see it right now, but when I zoom out, it's pretty much gone. And then finally, I added the blue rose diamond, which is in one of my favorite episodes. Well, I like all the episodes. There isn't a single episode I dislike in GOSICK, but I had the blue rose diamond, did my best to draw it myself without tracing it, but I had it as a side reference, as you can see, and it looks very beautiful, so I really wanted to capture it, and I had a lot of fun coloring it. And it's very fun drawing gems, because they're relatively simple, but when you pull them off right, they look amazing. Like, it looks like you actually know what you're doing when it comes to art. And I could have done a little bit better, I'm gonna admit, on the gem, but it doesn't look that bad. I was actually watching Justice League at the time when I was drawing this. So, there was one moment where I just started hearing Joker's laugh non-stop through my head, and it was just kind of all starting to wear on me. Anyway, but besides that, we're pretty much coming to the end of this drawing. I don't have anything else really planned for the rest of the year. I am going to do some more speed paints. Going to do something for Christmas. Don't know what. So I do have things. I do want to do things, but I don't know. I don't have anything planned. I do have a few gifts though. Not sure if those will be speed paints or not. Probably not, because I need to focus on them. So they probably won't. Outside of that, like I said, Christmas speed paint, and until then, I'm going to take a break. I hope you guys all have a lovely Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, do all the YouTube things. If you didn't like it, thank you for watching this far anyway, and I hope you liked all my long rambling. I know this was a long one. Anyway, bye!